How you doing? I'm Cory Hunter, and welcome to another episode. All right, we back out here with like I said, my buff nerds. Quick take with Tom and Jake. Dope, right? A lot of dope content, especially about filmmaking. On Buff Nerds, he did a bunch of music videos. Go over there, check them out. Like, subscribe.
It did for us, pluses and minuses. So yeah, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm in every film school is different. It depends where you're going, but the film school at ASU, you had to apply to get into. You couldn't just go to the program, pay for it, and be in it. You literally had to do your general education for a year, like these general ed classes that they required, along with some general film classes. And then at the end of your freshman year, you had to apply to get in the film school. And to apply, you had to make a short film, write an essay, and get references. And you had to do all three of those things, submit all those things. Then you went in for an interview process. And I remember going to that interview process, and I was sitting down with a guy who was waiting for his turn. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is my third time applying," and he was like a junior and hadn't gotten in yet, and and I was like, I remember being like, "Oh damn!" Can
you imagine just burning your whole college and just not even doing?
It's crazy, and so you had to literally apply to get in, and I got in, luckily, and obviously my, work spoke for itself, and I got in, but that was the first step and process for me. But yeah, could you imagine coming from out of state or whatever and spending a year taking your college classes, knowing you want to do film, and then applying, not getting in? Okay, well now what? Now you spend another year doing what and apply, don't get in.
Do you want to hear something crazy? Literally, obviously I want you to continue the ASU story. But on that note, on a higher level, I had a friend, this is not even made up, went to USC, one of the most premier, if not the top 3 film schools in the nation, if not the world. Very, very renowned, insane film program. I mean, insane studs from big directors have gone there. Their, what do you call it? Alumni is insane. Yeah. So very qualified. He went to USC, and same thing. First year, you just have to do general eds, and then you apply into your respective programs.
Right.
Actually, no. I think the first 3 years were all film study, film history, film theory. And then your senior year, you apply to your respective program, directing, sound, editing, cine, and you do your thesis in one of those. And he spent all 3 years doing all this stuff because he wanted to be a cinematographer. And he went to apply and oh, you know what? We actually already have too many cinematographers, but you can do sound. You can hold a boom. He's like, I just spent $200,000 to hold a boom pole. Are you kidding me?
No.
And he literally
way.
just got into this the sound department, and I was like, he pretty much walked, because you usually go to film school to walk away with a thesis film that's kind of your best showcasing of work that you can go use and get jobs with or whatever, build a reel. He left school with nothing. You know what I mean? Other than maybe the ability to hold a boom, which he did not want to do. So I mean, to your point, that's exactly, this is a very common thing at other film schools, is it's kind of threshold to do the thing you actually want to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. In this podcast, in this episode, they speaking about is film school worth it? And that was one of many examples they give. They do give good examples as well. Like I said, go over there, check out the full episode. They really do a nice 360 analysis on film school, especially because both of them went to film school. And it's interesting. You get me? It's not like you got people just throwing out stuff. They're actually sharing their real experiences with film school, and they're giving their honest opinions. And this is just one example, one story of how it backfired on somebody that they knew, or rather somebody that Tom knew, right? And Jake, because he actually started off his story, right? Filmmaking isn't a ladder, right? It's not like you go, or rather it's not how you put it, it's not structured, right? Not like other jobs. Everybody's journey in filmmaking is different. So, going to film school, it feels organized like everything else. If you want to be a doctor, you got to go to medical school, right? If you want to be a lawyer, you have to go and learn about law, right? If you want to be a filmmaker, you don't have to go to film school, right? Because there was filmmakers before there was film school. So to zero in on the conversation they was having, that's always been my problem with film school, which is it feels like a popularity contest, right? If the faculty isn't looking out for you, then you could get lost in the mix, right? It probably won't be a flattering experience for you. You need people to open doors for you, right? You need people to vouch for you so that you can get those opportunities, right? And then once you get that opportunity, you supposed to be worthy enough, or you supposed to have worked on yourself to be able to take on that challenge, right? Even if it's a big opportunity and it's beyond your capabilities, in that moment you grow, right? Because where there's a will, there's a way. And if you really want to accomplish it, you will, right? That's one of the reasons why, or one of the benefits of going to film school, right? So that people can open doors for you. If the faculty aren't opening doors for you, then it kills a big part, a big benefit, a big pro of going to film school. And you can end up wasting your time, which is terrible, right? We would like to believe that our time and efforts will be rewarded. And the example they gave you is that it's not structured like that. Like sometimes it can come kick you in the butt, right? We would like to believe that, look, man, if I invest $20,000 into a short film, it's going to be worth it, because we putting all our money and finances into the dream, and sometimes it don't work out, right? So I think film school just followed the narrative of like filmmaking, period, which is, it's a long shot. The longer you're in the game, the more you figure out, the more chances you have of having a successful outcome, right? It's an expensive game. It's a long game. And a lot of people fall before they get to the end of the rainbow, to that pot of gold, right? So what do this have to do with film school and what they're saying? I think what I'm saying is, I don't think you should be chasing validation, man. I feel like film school is validation. People gonna look at your stuff and tear your stuff up, but you have a fan base. There's somebody out there who is going to like the stuff you're doing, right? Like, that's just what it is. You go to film school, you're looking for validation. If the faculty isn't gonna validate the things that you're doing, you're going to suffer. That's just how I feel. But I feel like that with any school, with any organized structure, right? If the mentors aren't championing you, you're less likely to be successful, right? Like, think about it. Like, we watch in Marvel, they have Spider-Man. Yes, Spider-Man is the future, man, right? He's the truth. He's a dope character. But he had a strong mentor in Tony Stark, a very strong mentor who favored him and helped him get to the heights that he was able to get to in Infinity War, in Endgame, right? But maybe that's not the best example. Maybe the best example is Star Wars, right? We look at the Skywalker and we're like, oh man, non-movies are all about the Skywalker family, right? What makes these Skywalkers special? They're strong in the Force. The Skywalker family is the chosen ones. It's crazy. But really and truly, would they have been as powerful if they wasn't favored by a mentor, right? Like Qui-Gon. He saw Anakin and he's like, look, man, I see amazing potential in this kid. I'm going to take him under my wing. Because Qui-Gon made that decision, the Skywalker family ended up becoming what it became. Because otherwise, all this amazing potential and power and talks of prophecy would have meant nothing if Qui-Gon would have said, I don't like that kid. Let's just leave him in the desert. But we like to talk about destiny and prophecy and all that stuff, right? So he takes Anakin, right? Let's get to Luke, right? What happened if Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't say, look, let me groom this kid, right? Let me give him the lightsaber and give him some instruction, and let me give him a nod, right? Let me put in the paperwork so that he get my recommendation, right? So that when he's ready, he could go to Yoda and learn from the greatest Grand Master of all time, right? Like, it's one of those things. Like, if your mentors help mold you, right? And that's what film school is for. Now, we would like to think, oh yeah, but that's just bound to happen with the Skywalkers. But it's like, there's a bunch of Jedis out here who's amazingly powerful, right? Like, we got the Star Killer who has probably more potential than the Skywalkers, but never reached those heights because he had bad mentorship. You get me? Same thing with film schools, right? So I don't believe that film school is always going to mold you to be what you need to be. Sometimes, and a lot of filmmakers found this out, they have to grow by themselves. They have to mold themselves, right? And since that's more than likely going to be the journey of any filmmaker, a lot of the time it just don't make sense for film school because they're not going to latch on to you. Now, for some people, they have successful stories, right? They go to dope film schools with dope alumni and whatever the case may be. But that's not going to be everybody's story. And I think it's just it's not only a gamble, but it's also a know thyself situation, right? You know, I don't know. I guess you know if you're magnetic or if you're going to be able to attract the right people or if you go into the right school and you already got connects there. I guess all that matters. But yeah, man, I think it's a case by case situation. I know I was yapping. I was going on and on. But personally for me, I knew film school wasn't going to do it for me. I had a friend who was really trying to convince me to go to film school. And I'm like, for what? I got my camera in my house. And I'm out here getting experience. I went to school and I was doing a whole bunch of film analysis. And I didn't get any experience or hands-on experience while I was at that school, right? When I got out, I got my first camera. I PA'd for a little bit. I asked one of the people I was PAing for, I'm like, look, what is the path for a director? And he was like, look, man, if you want to be a director, the only way to be a director is to pick up a camera and start filming. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And that's just what it is, all right? Going to film school isn't going to make you a director. Picking up a camera, filming things, that's what's going to make you a director. That's just what it is. Like, you're not going to be a script writer by doing anything else other than writing a script, right? You're not going to be a producer by doing anything else and by doing anything else other than producing. It's just what it is. It's common sense. It is what it is. And me, I don't have the funds. I'm not looking to be in a hole to go to film school. I did things that had a micro budget, right? That might be a bit of a stretch. I don't even know if it was a budget. If I had a budget, I just had a camera and a script and I just asked some people that I knew to come out for me, and they did, and we knocked out stuff and putting together whatever money I have. I just did some local film festivals, and you have some other people who invest a lot more money in their projects and they just trying to move it everywhere. So you can tell they put it in Sundance and all the popular film festivals. Who knows if they ever got caught back, but they also try to flood the system and put them in all the smaller film festivals too. And I've seen that my stuff is better than theirs, man. And they spent like I said, how can you compare that? How can you compare when I spend like $200 on something, right? Not including the gear that I already had, as opposed to them who spent $10,000 on something that's 12 minutes. And my joint is better than theirs, man. It was clearly better. The audience was clearly more engaged. The quality wasn't so much more superior. You get me? It was a lot, right? And who wants to spend all this money without knowing if they can get there, right? Like I said, this is an expensive game. It is a gamble. We do have stories of filmmakers, first-time filmmakers, going out there and doing the darn thing and knocking out the park, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And what I'm saying is, because we know it's an expensive game, why would you want to add the expense of film school to that, right? Especially when you learn the most in the field, right? I think the strongest advantage for film school is the connections you make there. But not just the faculty, but also the students there, right? When I went to school, I was just studying film, doing film analysis, writing papers. But I did make friends, and even though they're not part of my field, they are good friends that I was able to make who I'm going to have for the rest of my life. And I think if you go to film school, you can make good friends that you can have for the rest of your life, on top of them also having a skill set, which is important because now you have a friend who comes out to you to these events. Y'all can grind together. You get me? Y'all be able to look out for each other because y'all in the same industry, and that's always dope, right? So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I appreciate you coming out here joining me. I appreciate you. And as always, until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check me out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Leave a comment so that we can get a discussion going. Check out the Patreon. Check out the Turtle School. That's there for you. Tools to help you learn and write and create stories. Thank you, and I appreciate you.